Welcome and thank you for joining us again for the Master Plan for Healthy Communities. Our speaker this evening is once again Jackie Brown, and she's ready to go. But before Jackie speaks to us, I'd just like to ask you once again to write in the chat number 1, if this is the first week that you have attended this series. So if you can write in number 1 in the chat, if this is the first week that you've attended the series, and also where you are watching from. Can you put in a number 2 if you watched, if you joined the series last week and also this week, and also where you are watching from. And number 3, if you've joined the series right from the beginning. If you joined the series right from the beginning up till now, and also where you are calling from. That's great. I've seen somebody starting that already. Our hope is that you've been enjoying the information that you have been receiving during this series, and particularly this week. And we hope that the information that you've been receiving is making a real difference to your lives. Now, questions can be put in the chat while Jackie is making the presentation, and these questions will be presented to Jackie once she has finished her presentation. And also, if you would, once Jackie's finished, if you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, and then please mute your microphones afterwards as well. So thanks once again for joining, and before I hand over to Jackie, I'd like us just to bow our heads as we offer a prayer. Let's pray. Our dear Father in heaven, we thank you once again that you've blessed us during this day, and that we can once again come to this meeting to see how we can establish healthy communities. We pray that you will bless all those who have tuned in, and that you will bless our presenter, Jackie, this evening. May you be with her, and the information that she will share with us, that it will be a blessing to our lives, is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So I'll hand over to Jackie now.
Blessing to be here once again, and for us to continue to talk about how we can prevent and reverse diseases that we're suffering with, or that we know someone who is suffering with that disease, so that their lives can be further enhanced. And it's so important at this time that we all make sure that our health is up there, and it is possible. Even if you've been suffering for a long time, God has a plan for you. He has a plan for your health, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the past few days, we have been journeying together, looking at various diseases and God's plan for them, for their prevention and recovery. We don't have to in silence, that there are things that we can do. We can take our health into our hands, literally, or surrender them to God to take control. And he does, and he can recover each and every one of us. We looked at cancer, God's plan for cancer. We looked at God's plan for high blood pressure and diabetes. And tonight, we're going to be looking at God's plan for autoimmune diseases. I have received some questions, but I think before trying to tackle those, we're going to go straight into the presentation for God's plan for autoimmune disease. I also have a beautiful lady who is willing to share with us her journey through autoimmunity, from being so terribly sick to now being able to share with us, what did she do? How did she overcome the pain and the distress that she was in? And how can we be encouraged by it? So I hope that will be a blessing to all of us. God's plan for autoimmune disease. Does God have a plan for autoimmune diseases? Because it seems like such a phenomenon, and many people have to take all kinds of medications, which actually make their situation worse. We've had the privilege to meet many people with autoimmune diseases. Um, one particular one was a lady who'd had an autoimmune disease for 13 years. And, you know, she decided, right, I'm just going around in circles. I'm not getting better. In fact, I'm getting worse. And she decided to approach her condition with God's plan. She was visiting us for a week, just a week she had from off work. And it was amazing that within days, she already had started to feel the difference. A headache that she'd had for so long was starting to recede, and all kinds of amazing things happened. She ran uphill and could not believe that she was able to do that, number one. And then the next day, because she said, I'm not going to be able to get up tomorrow. You know that, right? The next day, yes, she did. She got up and she did it again. And from there, her journey continued into what it is today. So there is a plan, because God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. Be still, he says, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. And this is very appropriate, because you see, you're going to find out that your immune system is your internal ministry of defense, and that there's a war going on within, which is why you have those symptoms. But what is the immune system? The immune system is an amazingly intricate collection of specialized and not so specialized cells, organs, and structures, the mission of which is to identify and destroy foreign invaders before harm is done to the body. So the immune system's job initially is to identify outside invaders, and put a stop to them trying to get into the body, or raise an alarm or a corresponding response, so that you and I do not have to suffer. What are the immune system's main enemies? Disease-causing organisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. If they should get into yours and my body, if we have a good enough immune system, they are detected, first of all, tagged for termination, and devoured by hungry immune system cells. And there are so many immune cells for every single function. It is an amazing system and a wonderful study if anyone ever has the time. To function properly, the immune system must be able to distinguish, though, between cells and substances that belong in the body and those that are foreign and dangerous. So, it's not about shooting everything that comes in. It's being able to distinguish between that which belongs or is harmless to the body, and that which is harmful to the body. So let's say allergies. Allergies, some people are like, well, the pollen is making me, it's giving me hay fever. The pollen shouldn't be giving you hay fever, because the pollen is not dangerous. But your immune system is seeing the pollen as an enemy, therefore sending histamine to try and protect itself. It's almost like a reaction, a defense mechanism. And then you suffer the consequences. You suffer the effects of the extreme histamine. So, because if the pollen was a problem, then everyone should have allergies. Everyone should have a problem, but it's only some of us. Why? With prolonged inflammatory stress, the immune response continues even if there is no foreign invader to attack, thus producing autoimmune disease. So the whole function of the immune system is to distinguish between cells and substances that belong in the body and those that are foreign and dangerous. But if the immune system doesn't do that, it doesn't switch off, and it continues to be inflamed and working overtime, then the immune system, the immune response continues, especially if we're under stress, or if the body is under stress, whether it's in our eating, in our drinking, in our everyday stress levels, and how we deal with those stresses. So this feeds it, even if there's no foreign invader to attack, thus producing autoimmune dis-ease. Remember, dis-ease, just break it up. The body is not at ease. It's feeling uneasy, and it's just asking for help. Autoimmune diseases involve destruction of healthy cells by the body's own defensive mechanism. Okay, so the body turns in on itself rather than turning out to deal with outside invaders. So autoimmune diseases involve destruction of healthy cells by the body's own defensive mechanism. Autoimmune diseases are painful, destructive, and often devastating. At their core, they have one thing in common: an out-of-control immune response linked with systemic inflammation. Now, if you have an out-of-control immune response already, and then you have a potential injection that can actually switch that immune response permanently on, you have big problems. And so at the beginning of the investigation into this injection, it was said that those with autoimmune problems should not. But now it seems everyone can and must. I would seriously question and seek God for wisdom. He has given us everything we need to make an informed choice. Let's obey him. Some of the most common autoimmune diseases include rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, celiac sprue disease, pernicious anemia, vitiligo, scleroderma, psoriasis, inflammatory bowel diseases, Hashimoto's disease, Addison's disease, Graves' disease, Sjögren's syndrome, type 1 diabetes. Psoriasis is one that former they were not health guests, they were actually training at a time when we did the initial training at our home, and this wonderful gentleman had psoriasis, really bad. And the wife reached out to me, and together we put together a plan. We did a cleanse for him, and he embarked while he was training on a program that revolutionized his whole life. And they took this message forward. They went back home, sorted out their parents who have diabetes and high blood pressure. They reversed their conditions, and now they are missionaries to Philippines, doing such a huge work out there. And so this, if this has given you an impetus, not just to recover from your own, illness, think about being empowered to reach out to others too. Some people think that having an autoimmune disease means that their immune system is too strong, and that's why it's attacking them. Yeah, so it is it's almost like I have a too strong an immune system that is starting to attack me as well. In reality, the opposite is true. It's when your immune system is overstressed that it attacks your own cells. It needs building up. Supporting your immune system rather than suppressing it is what's important. So what usually happens with autoimmunity is that the immune system is suppressed with all kinds of medications of different, strengths and side effects, but still the situation rages on. And so it's really important that the immune system, I think sometimes in a dire emergency, it might have to be put under supposed control under medication, but that shouldn't it shouldn't stop there. We should go forward supporting and strengthening the immune system to be able to recognize what is dangerous and what is not. So we have to re-educate the immune system. Physicians are trained to shut off inflammation with aspirin, anti-inflammatory medication, and steroids. This brother that I was referring to had been on steroids for years, all different manner of steroids. It had made him put on weight, and breaking out in spots because, of course, it's a poison, so the body's trying to get rid of it through the skin, which is an organ of elimination. And so it was just amazing to see his transformation. And what happens when one steroid doesn't work is there's another one is tried, and yet another, and the side effects also increase. But see, that's what physicians are trained to do, to treat you with medication. And that's why people are like, oh, come on, my doctor must know these things. I mean, he never told me about. He knows what he knows. He was trained to treat your autoimmunity, your cancer, your high blood pressure, your diabetes with medication. That's what the training is about. And so he doesn't really know unless he chooses on the side to learn to trace cause to effect. That's not going to happen. We're trying to maintain symptoms. I don't have time to sit down and talk to you and find out what you ate and what you drink and how you feel and what you think. But this is what is actually needed in order to get to the underlying causes of inflammation in chronic diseases. Hidden allergens, infections, environmental toxins, an inflammatory diet, and stress are the real causes of these inflammatory conditions. Let's go over them again. What causes inflammation or inflammatory conditions? Hidden allergens. For example, if you're having lots of foods that are processed, read the E numbers, and if read the hidden sugars, especially the maltodextrins and all kinds of artificial sugars. What about the monosodium glutamate that's making your food taste really good but destroying your body? These are hidden allergens, and they cause inflammation. Infections that maybe haven't been dealt with. Environmental toxins. Some of these the environmental toxins you can't control as much. You can by moving from your environment, of course, but it takes a lot more. It's not as quick. So you might have to, find ways and means to deal with that. But if all the others that is within our control to change can be changed, then we would recover. An inflammatory diet and stress. These are the real causes of inflammatory conditions. If you want to cool off inflammation in the body, you must find the source. Treat the fire, not the smoke, which is what medication does. Now, no one is saying that stop taking your medication, simply saying, let's find the cause of your inflammation. And as we find the cause, let's remove it and replace with something better. And you'll find, because most people on medication for autoimmune diseases don't tend to get relief right away. If you take away the medication, the situation comes right back. And so you're not being healed. The situation is being suppressed, though some people prefer to say controlled or managed. So it's really, really important that we don't just come off, but that we start to ask questions and start to make changes, and the body will respond in a positive light. The first question shouldn't be, what disease do you have, but why are you sick? Why are you, if we really sat down and went and gone and go through it, most of us will be able to seek the cause. We'll be able to ascertain the cause. But it just needs a conversation, because some of us don't know that certain things cause a negative reaction in the body. And we just need to be, enlightened, or it needs to be shared, and it needs to, therefore, then we can make a better choice. Stressful events are often the triggers for autoimmunity. For this particular gentleman, it was a very stressful situation where he shares his story quite openly. His then wife, unfortunately, got into a relationship with his brother. That is a serious, stressful event. Many say they noticed the onset of their condition during a particularly stressful life event, and for him, that was it. It almost like the switch went on, and his psoriasis just everywhere, from his head to his feet. The cause of chronic inflammation is also linked to heavy metals in fish. And some people are like, well, come on, fish is, it's white meat and it's all right. And we're told that it has some amount of omega-3 fatty acids. Fish also has heavy metals, aluminium, it has mercury, and many others. And that's toxic to the body. And in fact, when they have looked at the brains of those who suffer or did suffer with Alzheimer's and dementia, they notice a lot of heavy metals in the plaque, or rather in the composition that was in the brain. Yeah, the brain composition. And it's actually a combination of heavy metals and a combination of not sleeping. Because remember, again, that sleep is when the body cleanses itself. Now, if I'm feasting on lots of things that are actually toxic to my body, but I'm not sleeping on top of it, the body can't get rid of it. And on top of it, I'm not drinking water. You see where I'm going? The cause of chronic inflammation is also linked to heavy metal toxicity. Heavy metal toxicity in fish, but also in our products that we put on our skin, even in our deodorants. Have a look at your deodorant. If the first ingredient is aluminium, throw it away and get something better. Antibiotics suppress your immune system. It is a well-known fact. Infectious bacteria and parasites and nutritional imbalances. These can overburden the body's immune system, thus deregulating immune signals and responses. So it basically confuses the immune system, because you've got all these toxins coming in. Nothing's been done to get rid of the toxins, because most of the time we don't know that these things are toxic. And then there are other, imbalances in terms of nutritional deficiencies, vitamin D, B complex, zinc, and everything goes upside down. Autoimmune diseases in little children are linked to being born prematurely. Dairy products, including formula, and again, stressful life events. Obviously, if I have an autoimmune condition, my baby may experience almost like a byproduct of that disease or condition, being born prematurely as well. But also, I may choose not to breastfeed. Again, that's a choice that I can make, but I have to first know that breastfeeding is actually one of the best ways that I can give my child a head start. If I can't, then there's nothing you can do about that. There are ways to try and get around it, but if at the end of the day you can't, you can't. But knowing that breastfeeding is actually a wonderful way to give a child a good start in terms of immune health and strength. At the low end of the autoimmune spectrum are those who are moderately inflamed. You may get occasional symptoms such as acne, digestive issues, and fatigue. These tend to come and go, and you haven't begun to show signs of more obvious illness. Don't get complacent. These are warning signs, and it's time to seek the cause, change unhelpful practices, correct wrong habits, and use God's plan to simply pull back from heading towards the brink. Okay, so what do I do? What do I do? Perhaps you may have experienced some of these symptoms, and you're wondering, okay, I don't want to head further in. I don't want to head towards a place whereby I'll get more inflammation. What can I do? Cleanse the 7 channels of elimination. These are the 7 channels of elimination: the colon, the kidneys, the skin, the lungs, the liver, the lymphatic system, the blood. These are 7 main ways in which your body chooses to free itself of toxins. If any of the ways are blocked, the burden will be put on the others. And if the colon is not moving, if you're not moving daily, this is problematic. We met many people who don't move. They move at least once a week. Doctors may give something, but once or twice a week is actually a norm. So sometimes some people grow up thinking this is the norm. And by the time it's realized that it's not, a lot of damage has been done. But the colon needs to be cleansed, the kidneys, the skin. And how do we do this? Do you know something that if you didn't have one herb to cleanse the 7 channels of elimination, you simply follow God's plan, they would be cleansed. And so sometimes we have people who for whatever reason can't follow the cleansing program or can't do it, but they simply adapt to God's plan lifestyle while they're here, and all kinds of cleansing starts taking place. And so maybe for some people you just need to start with God's plan. Drink your 2 liters of water daily. That will get your colon moving. That will help your kidneys. That will actually make your skin very, very healthy. Your lungs, you'll be amazed at how much you can actually eradicate your asthma by simply drinking more water, because your histamine response, or rather your mucous membrane, narrows when you don't drink water, and the histamine response is high. And so you literally feel like you can't breathe. Drink water. The liver, the lymphatic system will be able to filter a lot better, and the blood will love you if you simply drank water. And that's just water. And we're going to go through the rest shortly. And I know this week has been like God's plan, God's plan, God's plan. Yes, God has a plan. His plan is simple because everyone needs to be able to do it. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't even have to cost you a penny. But it does mean you have to trust Him. Because you see, it seems too simplistic. And so the trust in God is crucial for me to want to follow and do this. But see it as a challenge. You have nothing to lose and so much to gain. Cleansing drinks. We usually start the morning with a lemon water. So, say good morning, we say a word of prayer. Some people are not Christians, but we say a word of prayer anyway. And because we still want God to be in everything that we do and to bless them. And they don't have to pray along. It's okay. And then we start with lemon water, followed by diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is a type of clay that is very good for bowel cleansing. It also helps to dissect a few parasites on its way to cleansing the colon. And then pure water. So some people are like, oh, I can't take this. This is just too much all at once. You want a good flush in the morning. And you can leave 5 to 10 minutes between each drink. But this is really good. If you don't have diatomaceous earth and maybe you just might start the day with just lemon water, don't just finish with the lemon water. Have another glass of just pure water. The lemon water cannot do what pure water will do in your system. And so it's important that even if you have lemon water, that you leave 5 minutes or so and then have pure water. Don't sip the water in the morning. Drink it, almost like a flush. As opposed to sip for like a whole hour. No, drink the water. I say that a lot. It's like, because people are used to sipping. And it's like, do you drink water? Yes, I drink lots of water. How much water do you drink? Well, I sip throughout the day. And it may be that you are sipping and drinking, but you're sipping on only 500 mils. That's not drinking, that's sipping. And you're not sipping enough for what your body needs. Other cleansing drinks that we might give, lemon, orange, and grapefruit. I usually do this as a mix. And psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a very good cleanser in terms of the fact that it's insoluble fiber. It bulks up in your colon and it literally sweeps it clean. But psyllium husk also needs lots of water. So it's crucial that if you have it, that you drink lots of water afterwards, not only immediately, but periodically throughout the day. Slippery elm is fantastic. Somebody asked me the other day about IBS, and one of the very effective ways to help heal the gut, because you see, IBS is not just about stopping the irritation, because it's irritable bowel syndrome, but it's to heal the gut. Your gut involves your esophagus, it involves your stomach, it involves your small intestines and your colon. And slippery elm has the ability to actually heal from your esophagus all the way down to your stomach lining, to your small intestine and your colon. It's very, very effective for ulcerative colitis, for all other inflammatory bowel conditions. Charcoal. It may be that you have a teaspoon connect me. Bear with me one moment, please. Thank you. Apologies, everyone. I'll be right with you. Let's come up here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So sorry. Okay. Again, charcoal, like I was saying, about half a teaspoon to a whole teaspoon of charcoal in some water. And remember, always followed by pure water.
While we're waiting for Jackie to connect, seems like she's having some difficulty this evening. I've just put a message in the chat, so please don't forget to put your questions or your comments in the chat, and the chat is being monitored, so they'll be asked at the end. Also, if you are new to this program and you'd like the handouts from the previous 2 weeks, then please also put your email address in the chat, and we will get the handouts and the recipes sent out to you and keep you updated with the rest of the programming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're having an interesting time. Please bear with us. Apologies for the disturbance. I'm going to try again. Okay. All right. So I was mentioning that it may be that after a couple of days of cleansing. By the way, before I continue on that vein, this is when we're doing these drinks, the person is fasting. They're juice fasting. So these drinks are part of a number of drinks throughout the whole day. So for example, lemon water, diatomaceous earth, and pure water, that is to be had within about half an hour, after which time the person comes down for exercise, after which time we have time of devotion. It might be that we'll walk on, to walk on the hills and stop and talk about different things and behold the things of nature and the one who created it. So it differs from person to person how it goes. And then when they come back, they'll have a herb called Swedish bitters, which is a combination of different bitters in one place, basically. And they'll have that, and then they'll have pure water. Then they'll have their juice, and then we'll go for another walk. And so there are lots of things happening geared to cleansing the 7 channels of elimination. This is going to be hard to do in its entirety in your home, so it can be very much shortened. It can be simplified. Start in the morning with lemon water and pure water is a simplification. Doing some kind of exercise, it might be rebounding for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's a start. You might want to go for a walk around, your home or your neighborhood or your block. Someone was asking me about cleansing. Cleansing can be very simple. It can also be very detailed. The cleansing model that we follow, because it's very intentional, at cleansing all 7 channels in a given time, is very purposeful. But yours can be a lot more, relaxed, and you'll still yield a lot of results. And these are some of the cleansing herbs that we use: astragalus, dandelion, burdock, red clover, turmeric, cayenne pepper, aloe vera, cat's claw, coriander, stinging nettle, milk thistle, cleavers, garlic, neem, peppermint, eucalyptus, oregano, thyme, lobelia, onion, Swedish bitters. Now we use a lot more than this because we have also the pain teas and the nervine teas. The nervine teas are used to help people with nervous system problems, and those who have some what I would say, they are mentally like troubled, anxiety and depression, and you know, there's so many, and always there's always a cause. There are always causes. But while we're dealing with that, these herbs really help the body to restore itself. Astragalus is a very, very good immune booster. For anything with immune system is fantastic. Dandelion cleanses. And remember, we're looking at all 7 channels, and these herbs are tackling all 7 channels of elimination. So we're very purposeful in what we choose in terms of cleansing. But if you have nothing but turmeric and cayenne pepper in your home and aloe vera, fantastic. Those 3 alone can be very powerful as a cleanser of the blood, of the colon, of the lymphatic system. So, you know, you don't have to have everything. Look out for those things that are familiar, that are in your home. Coriander and is fantastic for cleansing heavy metals. Coriander, just humble old coriander. Stinging nettle is excellent at cleaning the blood. Milk thistle, fantastic for the liver. And so you know, we have so much on hand. Then you have the cleansing therapies like contrast showers. You know, contrast showers is you do you know, hot and cold, always finishing on cold. So you may actually do 1 minute hot, 30 seconds cold, 1 minute hot, 30 seconds cold, and 1 minute hot, 30 seconds cold. This stimulates immune response. Now, I have to say that there are some autoimmune conditions whereby you stimulating an immune response with a hot and cold may actually make you feel worse. And if that happens, discontinue that, because your immune system is not quite ready. We had a beautiful young lady here who has lupus, and for her, because she had lupus, and I know with lupus, you know, extreme hot and extreme cold can bring about a flare. So I had to be very careful. So the hot wasn't very hot and the cold wasn't actually very cold, because we had to train her body to slowly be able to do that. Her immune system had to first be built up. Her body needed to be able to deal with that first. So I would say be very careful. If, for example, you have lupus or anything that is really very inflammatory, the contrast showers might make you feel not as well as you would expect. Massage is always fantastic for everyone. Steam sauna, steam inhalation. This is another one that you can do. You know, a bowl of hot water with drops of eucalyptus and maybe peppermint. Cover your head completely along with the bowl and inhale and exhale for a good 10-15 minutes. This is fantastic at breaking down any congestion at the back of the nasal tract, and it's sometimes you find some interesting things that actually are eliminated after one of those. Again, I wouldn't do the fever bath. I maybe just have a regular bath with lots of Epsom salt. Epsom salt is fantastic for drawing out toxins through the skin. which is your largest in terms of area organ of elimination. Then you have a simple hot foot bath, which everyone can do, and it's very, very, very relaxing, very heartwarming, and it works very well. So these are some therapies that we can do in our homes. I recommend the contrast showers if you're able. If you're not, I would be very careful. Massage, steam inhalation, and a nice hot foot bath. I wouldn't do a fever bath. I would simply do a hot bath with lots of Epsom salt. Making sure, though, that with all these water therapies that you drink lots of water, because you're losing water. Then, of course, we're back to the foundation of all health, and that's God's plan. This is none of the presentations are really extensive, but we try to maintain the simplicity of it. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. So the disease that I have is simply sounds belittling, but it's not. Because if you look at it from the other angle, if it's simply that I have not been keeping these laws of my health, that means that if I start keeping them, I'm likely to recover. Now, again, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. The recovery doesn't take place immediately. If you have been dealing with something for 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, it's difficult for the body to suddenly make a switch overnight. But if you persist and persevere, and with the right support and help, you can recover with God's plan. Why? What does God's plan have to do with autoimmunity? Many who have autoimmune disease can trace it back to a stressful event. Aside from stress being a causative factor, it also is a major trigger for flare-ups. Overcoming past trauma and dealing with daily stresses is imperative in regaining health. This is so crucial. Overcoming past traumas, not suppressing it and hiding it and trying to forget about it when really it's really important that it be dealt with. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. Sometimes it's very fearful to face or to brace these traumas. But God has promised to be with us and to help us in all things. Be careful for nothing, he says, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made to God, and the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. What a wonderful promise. Open air. Highway proximity is linked to inflammation, which can contribute to many autoimmune diseases. Air pollution can cause free radical damage to cells, and the body, especially in autoimmunity, may not have enough antioxidants to balance the effects. So, it's all about how my body can deal with the stresses all around me and within as well. Spending time in nature, doing deep breathing exercises strengthens your immune system. Consider living further away from highways, landfills, factories, and other sources of pollution. Indoor air has its own toxins as well, which can come from carpets, paints, dust building materials, and other sources. So remember to keep windows open and at all times for a constant supply of fresh air. But what if out there I'm living by the road and I open a window and I've got toxins there, and I close the window and I've got toxins here? What do? You maybe have some indoor plants as well, which absorb toxicity. Daily exercise. Keeping active is especially important when you have an autoimmune disease for several reasons. Exercise boosts physical energy. Endorphin production is a natural painkiller. Exercise can help reduce inflammation, though it doesn't feel like it. It also helps combat depression and anxiety, which can trigger flare-ups, and improves circulation, which helps oxygenate the body tissue, deliver nutrients to tissues, and help with detoxification. Find an exercise that is fun and enjoyable and that you can do. Don't overstretch yourself, but at the same time, challenge yourself enough to get your heart rate up. Don't challenge yourself so much that you trigger a flare and then you can't move for a week. Capitalize on the days you feel good to challenge yourself a little bit more. On days where you don't feel your best, don't do nothing. A simple walk after a meal is excellent exercise. Sunlight. Vitamin D is essential in making sure your immune system is running at its full potential and not misfiring. It works with the cells in your body that fight infections and inflammation. Low vitamin D levels have been linked to autoimmune conditions such as alopecia, Hashimoto's disease, hypothyroidism, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, inflammatory bowel disorders, and rheumatoid arthritis. In fact, a combination of lack of vitamin D3 and B12 have been noted for multiple sclerosis. So it's something that is quite serious. Proper rest. Profound and debilitating fatigue is the most common complaint among those with autoimmune diseases. If you have an autoimmune disease condition, you need more sleep than most. So if someone with an autoimmune disease might sleep 8 to 9 hours, as opposed to 7 to 8. That is not being indulgent. That is what is needed. So sometimes some people come and they're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to wake up at 7. And it's like, well, it's okay. Sleep. I'll meet you at 9. Why? Because proper rest is part of the program. Proper rest is a remedy. Dr. Ramlakan, a sleep expert, author, writes that the 90-minute phase before midnight is one of the most powerful phases of sleep because it's the period where the body is replenished and rejuvenated on every level, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And she says, and I believe spiritually as well. This is key. We've talked about it all week. The hours between 9 and 12 being very, very important. Lots of water. Dehydration reduces the overall volume of blood and lymphatic fluids that are integral in the healthy immune system. Dehydration and inflammation causes further problems with the immune system and exacerbates autoimmunity. Histamine, I mentioned before, is a neurotransmitter that plays a very important role in encouraging water intake during periods of dehydration. Elevated levels of histamine can also impact and contribute to asthma, depression, allergies, and chronic pain. And usually we reach for the antihistamine when we need to just reach for a drink of water. Those with autoimmune diseases need to be temperate in all things that may cause or exacerbate inflammation. Items like sugar, sweeteners, alcohol, dairy products, tobacco, caffeine, and meat need to be avoided. I would also add wheat and wheat products. The hybridization of wheat has made wheat very difficult to digest, and it seems to be a very big problem for those with autoimmune conditions. You can minimize toxin exposure by eating organic foods, minimizing use of plastic, filtering your water, and using toxin-free body products. Nutrition. A growing body of evidence indicates that a healthy plant-based diet can positively impact certain autoimmune diseases. I say all. In many cases, individuals report a significant reduction or even total reversal of autoimmune disease symptoms when they cut out meat and dairy. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine suggests that plant-based diets can help to reduce inflammation, swelling, and pain. Wow, what are we waiting for? If you're ready to see the change for yourself, try an elimination diet. Remove all foods that may trigger for 6 weeks to 3 months. You might decide, you know what, forget this 6 weeks. I'm gonna do it for 2 weeks. Then after your body has had a break from the constant inflammation and your gut has healed, although it will not have healed in 2 weeks, but it's a challenge. It may be that 6 weeks seems too long for you. Try 2. And then as you go on, add another week and another week. And then after 6 weeks, if you're able to do that long, start to introduce the foods one by one into your body and see what happens. And eliminate that which seems to trigger a reaction. Foods to remove completely: all animal products, dairy, eggs, meat, cheese. You're like, what am I going to eat? There's lots to eat. Lots and lots and lots. Wheat, sugar, and all artificial sweeteners such as high fructose corn syrup, alcohol, processed food, junk food, fast food, caffeine, genetically modified foods, additives, preservatives, and dyes, trans or hydrogenated fats. All of these are triggers for autoimmunity. Foods to eliminate for 6 weeks to 3 months and then reintroduce one by one. Spelt. Because although spelt is a very wonderful grain and you can make amazing things with spelt, some people react to it because it's a type of wheat. It's not wheat, but it's a type of ancient wheat. Some people still react to it. Similar to einkorn and kamut, these are all types of ancient wheat that still have gluten, but they don't have the same gluten structure as normal wheat. Oats, corn, soy, gluten-free grains, and pseudo grains like quinoa. Nightshades, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, and aubergines. All fruits except green apples and tart berries. Legumes, yeast. So that leaves you with what? With a lot of vegetables, which are actually very healing. Foods to enjoy: leafy greens such as collard greens, spinach, kale, other vegetables, and cabbage and broccoli. And fruits that are, like as I mentioned before, more tart, not sweet. So leave the mango for 6 weeks if you can, please. Healthy fats like avocado, olives, coconut oil, and olive oil. Squash, sweet potatoes. See, the foods are coming back. Good spices including ginger, cayenne, garlic, and turmeric. Artichoke, dandelion greens, leek, onions, asparagus, flaxseed are excellent prebiotics. So you still have some food left to enjoy. Foods especially powerful for autoimmunity: fennel, apple, cucumber, broccoli, ginger. They have a combination of anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, antioxidant capabilities that are very much needed if you have an autoimmune condition. Use one or more of these anti-inflammatory foods, such as asparagus, carrot, radish, turnips, ginger, turmeric, bok choy, fennel, celery, beets. Leafy greens such as kale, chard, spinach, and watercress. Broccoli. If you're doing broccoli, juice the stems and steam the florets. Yeah. So all of these are amazing foods for autoimmunity, for everything, but especially if you are suffering with any autoimmune conditions, these are your best friends. Then you have the wonderful herbs God has given us for the healing of the community. White willow bark is excellent for pain. I've mentioned it several times. Hops is one of those nervine herbs that helps with any nervous condition or any problem with nerves. again, balancing those hormones. It's very necessary. Nettle, skullcap. I usually boil skullcap with hops. I put them together, and I might drop in there a couple of I'll drop in there also some chamomile, because all of them calm. Ginger, turmeric, all of these are very helpful herbs. Turmeric is excellent at helping with inflammation, especially in autoimmune conditions as well. And then you have various other vitamins and minerals: resveratrol, selenium, olive leaf extract, zinc, grapeseed extract, black seed oil, B vitamins, and of course, calm magnesium. We prefer to use calm. This is just what we use. That's why it's there. If you have your own type of magnesium, it's just as well. But we find that this particular one is very, very effective. But these are, besides laying the foundation, which is God's plan. God is so merciful. He has given us so much else to help our bodies to get better quickly and to strengthen. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. What does this mean? Well, God has promised us so much, and it takes trust in him to simply follow his plan. And he says, just taste and see how good I am, and you will be overflowing. You won't be able to keep it to yourself. And this is what my dear sister Charlene, how she feels at this time as she shares with us her journey and her challenges with autoimmunity. Sister Charlene, are you here with us?
Hello,
Yes.
everybody.
Is here. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm good.
Fantastic.
I have left my my video off because I'd like everybody to have a look at my 2 photographs. Have a nice look at it, because that was my inflamed photograph, and then that was my photograph after I had my encounter with the medical missionaries. So I will tell you about it, but make sure you have a look and see the difference with the 2 faces. Okay, so on the 22nd of January last year, 2020, I woke up at my wit's end. I should put my camera on now. I can't put my camera on, Sister Jackie.
Uh-oh. Okay, you tell the story. Don't worry, and then maybe one of your helpers will come and assist.
It said the host has put the camera off.
Oh.
Okay,
Host.
brilliant.
Okay.
Yes, I'm on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, on the 22nd of January last year, 2020, I woke up at my absolute wit's end. I was done. I was finished. I said, I am not going to work today, and I will not go back to work until I am well. Because at that point, I didn't know what to do. I had gone to my doctor, my GP, and maybe 20 times in the previous year, leading up to that point. I had cried to him, I had quarreled with him, I had begged him. He didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I would often just go to him and say, send me for another test. Send me for another test. And he kept sending me for tests as I requested, but nothing came back. And he was able to do absolutely nothing for me. And I didn't know what else to do, because you go to the doctor if you're sick. And that is exactly what I did. And there were no answers. I was missing work a lot. My head teacher was fed up with me based on his actions, the way he was. And I was fed up with me because I was tired of being sick. Sick was across my eyes. They hurt so badly. Every day my eyes hurt. My temples hurt every day. If I stood up in the bath and bent over to wash my feet, I felt like I was gonna topple over. My head felt like it was filled with something, like a fluid or something was just full in my head, and I couldn't bend over. I was in constant pain, but worst of all, I was fatigued. I just wanted to lie in my bed and cry, because when I got out of bed, I felt like I just wanted to go back to bed. I was just at my wits' end, and I cried and I fussed and I didn't know what to do, and my GP didn't know what to tell me. And the blood tests, the results were, your inflammatory marker is high, my triglycerides is high, my cholesterol is high, everything was either very high or very low. My vitamin D was very low, and everything was just a mess. My sister, who lives in America, who is a nurse, she was concerned. She said, no, I've got to come and see what is happening, because you don't sound right. Every day I was just sick. I'm a teacher, so I was going to work, and one morning I got up to do my planning, and I couldn't see the cursor. I couldn't see it. I got scared, because to that point I was often seeing doubles, but I could still see. This time I couldn't see. I called my husband in the middle of the night. He wasn't happy. I called him. I said, can you help me find the cursor? I can't see it. He found it, and he didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Everything was just not good. So on the 22nd, I decided, no, I'm not going back to work until I feel better, because there's no point going and giving half measure, because all I had was less than half measure. So it just continued like that. When my sister came, we went to the health food shop, spoke to the man in the health food shop, and he gave us a few things, and I started on vitamin D and a few other things. And you could see my face. That was my face on the 3rd of February. However, my sister left, and I was just at my wit's end. Like I said, I just bawled to God, and I said, give me something. I need something. Life cannot continue like this. Help me, help me. And I just picked up my phone and I Googled a private hospital near me, and I found that the hospital was very close to me. I went there, paid, saw the GP, and she sent me for the test that I had done already. Yes, and so when they came back, she saw that all of those tests were correct. Everything was a mess. Inflammation high, everything. So she didn't know what to do. So she said, at last resort, I'm going to send you to do an autoimmune test. She sent me, it's called an ANA, I think. She sent me for it, and it came back positive. So I said, finally, at least there's an answer. But I thought it was a death sentence. I was shattered. I told nobody. I didn't tell my husband what the result was because I thought my life was over. Autoimmune illness, I can't deal with that. I've got my life to live. And then she sent me to the rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist said I had limited sclerosis. I didn't hear limited, I hear multiple, and I thought, oh my God, I can't live with that. I can't live with that. Anyways, I found, I was in pieces. Then I searched on YouTube and found green smoothies. So I started on the green smoothies. I was doing green smoothies every day without fail. And I started feeling better. I started having a little bit more energy. But I noticed that if I stopped, I would feel unwell again. I said, God, something, please give me something, help me. And I was just flipping through my WhatsApp messages. This was now May. I was flipping through my WhatsApp messages and I saw the medical missionary course. And I thought, yes, God, thank you. That was Sabbath afternoon. I saw it and the course was starting the next morning. And I called Sister Jackie 6 o'clock the next morning. And I said, can I do it? I need to do it. So I did the course and it was an eye-opener. There was just so many things that I learned that I put in place immediately. They said 8 glasses of water. I was on 8 glasses immediately. Sleep immediately. I was just on it immediately. Then I had a consultation with Sister Jackie and she said, she put me on the route. Oh yes, I started the diatomaceous earth immediately on my own. I started the Swedish bitters like it was water on my own. I just took it on. We bought a steam sauna immediately. I bought the magnesium immediately and we were just on everything because I was not going, if I could help. Oh, something I learned from the medical missionary course is that disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that are caused from a violation of the laws of health. Once I got that, I said, and Sister Jackie said to me, we had a consultation and she said to me, Charlene, do not give it a name. Work on fixing your health. And I took that on. I took that on and I took on everything seriously and implemented them immediately. I started feeling better. The photograph, the first one was in the end of January. The second one was after I started implementing the things I was learning in the medical missionary course. Then one Sabbath afternoon, now this is the cherry on the top. One Sabbath afternoon, Sister Jackie did this very course that you just saw. And when we got to the end and she said the elimination diet, my ears popped up and I paid keen attention to that. I cannot tell you what I couldn't eat because the list that I couldn't eat was so long. I just focused on what I could eat. Sunday morning, that was Sabbath afternoon. Sunday morning, I implemented the elimination diet. I took out everything, saved green vegetables and sweet potato and green apple. I took out everything and I did that for 3 months. And I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want people judging me. My friends didn't know what I was going through because I was not going to own autoimmune illness. Sister Jackie said, focus on fixing yourself, fixing your health. And that's where my focus was. I listen, I know every sweet potato that is sold in England. I've eaten every one. I can tell you them if you need a consultation on sweet potatoes. I focused on what I could eat. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I cooked for the family and it was hard. I wouldn't lie to you and tell you it was easy. It was difficult cooking for the family and cooking my little pot on the side with my sweet potato. Everybody knew. And then I started having a little bit of butternut squash. But the sweet potato was my favorite. And I ate what I enjoyed. And truth is, I didn't have very much more to eat. It was a lot of green vegetables, all the cruciferous vegetables I could have. I couldn't have something as nice as tomatoes. I couldn't have sweet potato. But I didn't focus on what I couldn't have. I focused on what I could have. Gradually, I felt my energy come back. The bags went away from my eyes. The dark circles went away. And I just went in like a soldier. I said, I need to fix my health. I fasted, I prayed, I cried, I ate sweet potato and vegetables. There were many days when I just had the sweet potato and I just set the table with the knife and fork and I had just sweet potato. And there were days when I had it with my salad, but I stuck with it. And it was just the most beautiful thing. I've not been back to the doctor because my GP can't help me. Plus COVID came and visits to the doctor was not as simple anymore. But when I assessed my feeling, I'm not perfect yet. And some days I don't want to get out of bed because I feel so fatigued. And like last night, I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep because that sometimes is the case. And it's a new phenomena, but it comes with the territory. And I just roll with it. When I have the strength, I have the strength. But when I don't have it, I don't have it. But God be praised, it's not very often. And what I'm noticing now is that I'm able to do more. I vacuumed the entire downstairs last Friday. The first time in a long time. I was able to wash the bathrooms and hold my head down from last year, maybe about last year's summer. Things like that I couldn't do before the elimination diet. And I've taken absolutely not 1 ounce of medicine from a doctor. Nothing, because COVID came and I've not been back to my GP since. But truth is, I'm glad my GP gave me nothing, because what was he going to give me? He didn't know what was going on. And I thank God that Sister Jackie said, don't give it a label, because I didn't dwell on autoimmune. I still don't dwell on it. My focus is on fixing my body. And that's what I do every day. I still cook different from the rest of the household. Most of what they eat, I don't eat. I still follow most of the elimination diet. And it is paying off beautifully. To God be the glory.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much I know that is just a snippet of the full testimony. And it's such a blessing to see you and to see the difference in the pictures that you showed at the beginning and even further difference now. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I don't know if some people might have questions for you, so please stick around. But I wonder now if there are any further questions, Brother Leroy.
Yes, there's the first couple are to do with the use of lemon. The question asks, is it best to drink lemon through a straw because the acid can cause tooth decay?
Yes, it is a good idea to drink the lemon water with a straw, definitely.
Okay. And the next question is, how much lemon water should we drink in the morning? And does this count as part of our 2 litres a day? And is putting bicarbonate of soda with the lemon water a good idea?
Okay. We usually use the juice of 1 lemon to about 300 mils of water, of pure water. It does not account for your 2 liters. Lemon water is lemon water. Lemon water is very specific. It's alkalizing, it's cleansing. Water is the only thing on the pH scale that should be neutral. So because it does something very different. When you add anything to water, it stops being water and it becomes whatever you've put in it. So it doesn't account for the 2 liters a day, I'm afraid. But the water that you have after the lemon water accounts for your 2 liters. The bicarbonate of soda we don't use at all, apart from externally or to clean. I don't use bicarb of soda. The lemon alone is sufficient in terms of the cleansing that you need.
Okay, the next question. Can gluten intolerance contribute to autoimmune diseases?
It can, especially if you're still having things that have gluten, because if your stomach is struggling to digest it, because the digestive system and your immune system are intricately connected, it will affect you. So sometimes if you have gastrointestinal system dysfunctions, you'll find that your immune system also will play up because they are connected. So if you are gluten intolerant, perhaps eliminate the gluten and work on building the immune system. Don't just eliminate the gluten. Work on building your immune system as well so that your immune system can get better.
Okay, thanks for that.
Sorry, may I please comment on that question as well?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
What I found after I did the elimination diet, I started reintroducing things gradually. And I tried, spelt was the first one I tried, and that didn't work very well for me at all. It knocked me back a good 3-4 weeks, and I had to restart on that. So even to now, I still don't mess about with grains. I don't have them because I find that I am worse for wear when I have any of the grains. So I stay away from them.
Is that all the grains, Sister Charlene? Even millet and even the alkaline ones?
Quinoa is
Okay.
the one I have. That one is not as bad. Millet
Okay.
is not as bad, but all the others, I react very badly to
Yeah.
them. Flour is absolutely impossible. Regular flour, absolutely impossible. If you want to see my eyes and my face go swollen, just let me have some flour.
Wow. So Winston calls that concentrated starches. So you have to be very careful with concentrated starches. And so Charlene mentioned 2 very good and alkalizing grains, which are millet and quinoa. And these are the 2 that she can just about have. So yeah, if you are gluten intolerant, remove the gluten, but also work definitely on your immune system, strengthening the immune system for the long haul.
Okay. The next question, is the plastic used for bottled water bad for us?
Yes, it can be due to the various chemicals inherent in plastic. For example, BPA. and it has been noted that it can disrupt your endocrine system and various other systems in the body, and even contribute to cancer. So they are problematic. The only problem is sometimes in some parts of the country, the water from the tap is just as problematic. So sometimes the only alternative is to go for bottled water, but then you have the issue with the plastic. It's good if we can find a good filtration system to filter our water, and use glass bottles or stainless steel to as containers to carry our water.
Okay, there's a question here regarding hair loss. Is it an autoimmune symptom or a menopause symptom?
Well, it can be both. It can be an autoimmune symptom, as in alopecia, or it can be that your hormones are really imbalanced and the body's a little upside down, and we need to just get things back in balance. So it depends. We will have to ascertain the cause, or we have to look at some other symptoms to determine whether it is a menopause issue or an autoimmune situation.
Okay, I think Andre, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. There's just one that I'm going to ask just before I ask the one that was sent to me. It says, can gluten intolerance attribute to autoimmune diseases?
Yes, we just answered that, saying that it can contribute, it can be a trigger, because the gastrointestinal system and the immune system are very much connected. So if I'm having gastrointestinal issues and gluten is exacerbating those issues, it can trigger an autoimmune response, because the immune system is affected. So yes, they're connected, definitely.
Okay. So here's another question. Can an individual with high blood pressure use Epsom salt?
Yes, they can. It is very good for those with high blood pressure because it has a lot of magnesium. So we don't use Epsom salt internally. We use it externally, either for salt glow or to relax in, to put in the bath to relax. Or if you're doing a hot foot bath, you can put it in the bowl and put your feet in it as well, and it draws out toxins through the skin and even through the feet. And it's very relaxing for muscles and aching joints and pains like that. And it's absolutely fine if you have high blood pressure to use Epsom salt, yes.
Okay, a couple more questions coming into the chat. What is the best type of water filter system to get?
That's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
You can get very simple, like charcoal filters. They're very good. You can also go to the next level and go for a filtration system that is attached to your tap. There's one that I'm struggling to remember, but I know a number of people who have it. It's very pricey, but it works, so that it filters the water, especially the drinking water or the cooking water coming directly from the taps. And as soon as I remember, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Right.
That's it. Kangen water. Kangen.
Okay. Another question here regarding lemon water. Do you use hot, cold, or warm water for the morning lemon water drink?
That's a very good question. I use warm water. Cold, because, okay, the warmer it is, the better. But I don't want it too hot because I don't want to kill the vitamin C in the lemon. Vitamin C is heat sensitive. So if you pour hot water into the lemon, it's fine. You can still drink it, but the vitamin C element is gone. So I use warm water to make sure that it's not cold, but at the same time, I still maintain the integrity of the vitamin C.
Okay. Then another question. This person's saying because they've drunk bottled water since arriving in the UK, because they don't like the tap water because it's recycled. What can they do because they have a thyroid problem?
Okay. So we need to have a little consultation, because the thyroid problem can't just be down to the water you're drinking. Whether it's hypo or hyperthyroidism, we need to look at your diet and your exercise regime if you have one, and various other things. So it's not just about the water you're drinking. We need to look at your levels of iodine in your diet. So all of those contribute to hypo or hyperthyroidism. And it'll be good to have a consultation so that we can ascertain the cause. It may be that the water situation is exacerbating it, but I wouldn't think that it would be the only thing to cause thyroid problem.
Okay. Another question here about Epsom salts. Can Epsom salts get into your private parts and cause damage to a man?
I've never heard of that. So it's something that I could look into, but I've never heard of that taking place before.
Okay. This is again about the safety of water. What if you boil your water? Is it safe enough to drink, or do you still need to filter your water after boiling it?
Yeah, when you boil it, it's good. It kills the bacteria or any germs lurking in the water, but it can't get rid of the heavy metals. If there's fluoride in there, it can't get rid of that. You'll have to filter it as well.
Okay.
I mean, if things are difficult and you'll find, it's better you drink water than not to drink it. So even if you start with a Brita filter, it's something. It's a start. So because we do need water, as we've learned in the past few days, our bodies are over 75% water, and everything that we do, all our organs need water to function. So definitely drink water, but drink it safely, of course. So you can, if you want to make a start with the Brita filter, and then as you're able, you can, get another filter that is a bit more advanced or better for what you need it for.
Okay, thanks for that, Jackie. Now, we're running out of time, but I don't know if anybody take a couple of questions. If anybody would like to unmute and ask a question. Okay.
Leroy, just before you close up, Jackie, there are some questions that are coming to me. What I will do is I'll send them to you privately after the meeting's finished, because I think they do need addressing, but I will send them to you after the meeting's finished.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I've just got one question. I would just like Jackie to suggest what water filters should recommend.
I mentioned about possibly having a charcoal filter. If for example, I did also mention Kangen water, but that's at a very high end, and not everybody can afford that. So charcoal filters are very good. But I also mentioned that if you don't have money even for a charcoal filter, start with a Brita filter. That at least is something.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been told that if you have osteoarthritis, you should not use tomatoes. And I think Jackie was mentioning about tomatoes
Thank
in
you
this.
for your question. Thank you for your question. It's not necessarily osteoarthritis, it's rheumatoid arthritis, because it's an autoimmune. And sometimes with autoimmunity, the body starts to react against certain foods. And certain foods have been noted, they're called the nightshades. They include tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, aubergines. They tend to make someone who has rheumatoid arthritis flare up. Again, it's something, when we've had individuals with rheumatoid arthritis, after the cleansing, we start to introduce these things slowly back into their diet and see what happens. And so if it causes a trigger, then we know, okay, your body's not ready for it. Let's leave it for another, week or two. So the idea isn't to remove these foods perpetually from your diet, because you are working on strengthening the immune system to be able to recognize what is harmful and what is not. And if done rightly, your body can respond positively, and you can start to put these foods back into your diet and not flare. So it's not necessarily for osteoarthritis, ma'am, but it is for rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid. Right. Thank you. Another question regarding hibiscus. Is
Yes.
a good thing to use for a drink? If you
Yes,
boil it,
especially if you
steep
have-
it.
Yes, it's very, very good. It has wonderful antioxidants, and it's very good for high blood pressure. I usually make a drink of hibiscus and hawthorn berry for a really nice red-looking blood pressure drink.
Right. Do we need to add anything to it?
Not particularly, no. It's very nice. You can add ginger. Ginger is very nice with hibiscus.
All right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we thank you once again, Jackie, for your presentation this evening. And I'm sure we've all gained a lot. And from our sister who gave a testimony as to how following the principles that you've outlined have helped. Is it Sister Charlene? Yes, so thank you for your contribution, and also for all the questions that have been asked this evening. So let's just bow our heads now as we close with a prayer. Thank you, Father, for this evening's presentation, and thank you for the knowledge and wisdom that you have given to our sister Jackie, that she is able to share this information and to help the healing and the blessing of your people. We pray now that you will be with us and bring us back again tomorrow evening for another presentation, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you.